Welcome to the Startup Grind.
Once again, I'd like to thank everyone for attending today. This is the reboot of the Startup Grind powered by Google for Entrepreneurs, in which it's a community of entrepreneurs, business owners, and folks that just love the idea of starting and running their own business. What we do is we get together some of the top people in each different industry, from Priceline CEO to actually the Apple CEO. And I'm actually pleased tonight to introduce someone that actually is disrupting the automotive industry, someone I know very well. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce him and then have him give his story a little bit. So I'd like to first of all thank Tim Roussell, General Manager of the oldest Honda dealership in North Carolina, Braun Honda, for taking some time to actually let us use this facility and then also speak. So Tim, how did you get started in the car industry?
Well, first of all, Rick, I'd like to thank everyone for allowing me the opportunity to talk about the automobile industry and business in general, and how the business is evolving and marketing is evolving, and how it's going to affect not only the automobile industry, but probably most companies in America in the next 10 to 20 years. And most of it will happen, believe it or not, August 6th of 1991, believe it or not, the internet was introduced. That wasn't that long ago. And the internet has changed the business in such a drastic way, from an information standpoint and the way we communicate, to the way we do business, the way we build businesses, the way we market businesses, and so on and so forth, social media and digital. We'll get into that in a little bit. I started in the car business in 1985, about 6 years before the internet business began, and started at a Chevrolet store in South Florida. And you know, I got into the business by accident. I really got into the business because I got stranded in Florida and I didn't have a job. And so I looked in the newspaper and saw a job in there that said, become a salesperson, earn up to X amount of dollars per year. And I thought that was an interesting way to get my way back to upstate New York, where I was from, and I thought I'd try it out for a little bit, earn enough money to get back, and I never went back. I mean, I stayed in the automobile industry. It was the only industry that I knew that I could get into with a pen, and I really didn't even need the pen. Most of the salesmen had an extra one. And so I could show up at work with a smile on my face, talk to people, be nice to people. They came to me, I didn't go to them, wasn't door to door. And end up selling automobiles, and really I've made my entire career around it. So that's kind of my start in the automobile industry back in 1984, 85.
Wow. Now, what would you say would be one of your biggest successes that you've had in the industry, the automotive industry?
Well, I've had a lot of successes in the industry. My biggest, earliest success would be running JM Lexus, which is the largest Lexus dealership in the world. When I arrived at that store, it was selling about 30 automobiles a month. And about 5.5 years after that, we were delivering right about 1,000 cars a month. It was a tremendous, it was 28 years old, so I was young in the business. And what I learned then was to do all of the things that no one else was willing to do. Go out on a limb, do things that people would tell me on a daily basis. This one will get you fired. This is the one that's going to break the camel's back. This is the time that you're not going to have a job tomorrow. And interesting enough, if you believe in yourself enough, and you believe in what you do, and you believe in what you're going after, you know, you'll be successful despite all the people out there that are negative and trying to tear you down, because, you know, it's what I would tell anybody. And you'll get to that question, I know, but I'll answer that in a little while. But you know, you got to disrupt everything. Yes. And I started disrupting this business back in 1985. You know, I did all the things that nobody else wanted to do.
What would be, and I hate to use the word failure, but
well, it's interesting. It's interesting that you say failures, because, you know, 99% of your success is all failure, right? So most everything you do in life is a failure, and you have very few successes. Yeah. But failure is not a word like most people use it, you know, as a negative connotation. For failure to me was just an everyday occurrence. You know, when I went skiing the first time, I expected I would fall the first time I went down the hill, right? So when I fell, it wasn't really a failure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? I expected to fall.
Yeah.
And so everything I've done in my life, everything I've done in my career, everything I've done in the automobile business, there's been a lot of failures. In fact, I fail every single day, and then I get back up, and I try some more, and some of those failures turn to successes. Yeah. In fact, most of my failures turn into successes.
Awesome. Awesome. Now, since you've been in the industry, what is that, that's over 30 years, what are some of the biggest changes, because you mentioned the internet, what have been some of the biggest changes that you've seen in one of the oldest industries ever? What's been one of the biggest changes?
The biggest change I've seen is the internet.
Okay.
And the internet has spawned off a lot of other things. The biggest change that has happened in the past 5 years, maybe a little longer. And there's a lot of things that are changed in the industry. But I believe that the different generations coming up, the buyers, the demand of the buyer, the way that the culture's changed, those millennials, the way we change them, as you know, our generation has changed the millennials and what their expectations are. I told a guy this the other day that watched the thing on Facebook. It said that she was expected to come into work at 8:30 in the morning. And she says, no, I don't get to bed till 1 o'clock at night, and I don't even get out of bed till 10 o'clock. Yeah. And I posted that on my Facebook, and all of friends and family and relatives and business acquaintances, they all said she wouldn't last 2 seconds in my business. Mm-hmm. And I thought to myself, you won't last in business unless you embrace that girl.
That's right.
You're not going to make it. Because that is the future of what we're looking at. I don't know if this dealership will open at 7 o'clock in the morning in the near future, because I'm not sure anybody will be out of bed at 7 o'clock in the morning. If you all have kids, and I know you do and I do, Rico, but it's a whole different generation. It's a whole different world that they live in.
Well, speaking of that, because I know personally that you've actually done some things that are out of the ordinary for the car business. What do you see coming out of the industry? Some things that you're pretty excited about, maybe some things that you're currently doing at the dealership, and maybe some things that you have planned that you see coming out of the industry.
Well, as you know, Rico, we have a vast number of new initiatives that are coming into the business. We have some new initiatives that are coming into the industry. For Bryan Honda, Bryan Honda in 2013 when I came to Fayetteville, I've only been here about 4 years. They were doing about, and I wrote it down, they did about $71 million in sales here. And in 2017, we eclipsed 110 million in just 4 years. And that's not because we did business, it's not because of the pretty showroom, it's not because of the business that the Bryans had built, although that's a good thing for reputation. They had a great reputation. They had a great product. They had great people. What they lacked is the forward-thinking technology, probably the outside influence of someone coming from a bigger metro market to share some of the new initiatives of the car business. And the same people, I have people here that have been here with me since the day I started. But they've learned a whole lot. They've learned a whole lot about different things, and the consumer demand today is different than the consumer demand was just 2 or 3 years ago. The way I advertise is different. A lot of people have seen it on TV. I have not spent one dime on television or radio or newspaper in the last 50 days. My business has gone nothing but north of up. The business is changing, the way you reach people. I talked to some of the people that come in here about cable television, about radio, about TV, and I never really paid much attention, but when you go to Best Buy and you read across the bottom of the box and it says Roku, what's the other ones? Ugu, Lugu, Slugu, Sling, and all the other things that are written across the bottom of the box. It looked cool to me, it's pretty on the box, but really, to be honest with you, I don't know much about what it means. And most people don't. But what it means is that people are going to start hooking up to all those things across the bottom because they're free. Yep. And they don't want to pay for them. Yep. They don't want to pay your cable bill anymore. They don't want to, things are going to change for them. But the demand for the consumer today is different. So give you an example. We have a thing called flytobuy.com. And flytobuy.com means you can buy a car from anywhere in the United States of America and I can deliver it to you. You can go online, flytobuy.com. You can get a price, a payment, a down payment, figures on your car, figures on your trade-in. You can get finance information. You get accessory information, and you can get the entire deal printed out in less than 30 seconds. In the dealership, you remember, everybody's been to a car dealership. It takes about half an hour to get that information. Yeah. It's all about, do you want to buy now? Do you want to buy now? Do you want to buy now? The millennials have come along, and they don't want to care about buying right now. They're buyers. They're going to introduce the largest amount of consumer goods in the history of the United States. Wow. And you got to embrace them. You have to have applications. You have to have technology. You have to have iPads around the dealership, as you can see, where people work deals by themselves. I don't know that they want to work with the sales manager anymore. I sold 65 cars in 71 days that never touched a salesman or a sales manager. They did it all online completely. As you know, Amazon delivers to your house, in your house. Next, they'll put it in your cupboard, right? They'll put the bags away, feed the dog, wipe the door off as they leave, and go home. The business is changing. That's the part of the business here right now. Look, in another 5 years, the ZAR, which is the seasonal adjusted rate for automobile sales, is right at 18 million right now. I predict it will go down in the next 10 years to less than half of that. Wow. Because I believe that car share will become the future of the automobile business. It will, the privately held automobiles, look, like every one of you right now, if I told you that you could go out and get a Pilot, a Honda Odyssey, a hybrid Accord, and you could pay $550 a month, would include your insurance, your maintenance, your gas, your detail, a concierge to drop it off to your home, pick it up and deliver it, wash it, bring it back to you. You could swap a van out for a Pilot out for a thing. Every month you could swap vehicles out and get a new vehicle anytime you wanted to. I could probably sign up most of you, because you're all figuring in your head right now, wow, my car payment, my insurance, my maintenance, and my warranty and all that's more than I'm paying now. That's less than I'm paying now. But that technology and that way of doing business is here today as we speak. There's dealerships out there right now that are doing that. They're car clubs. And you pay a fee up front. And because, not so much in Fayetteville right now, but a lot of the metro markets, they don't need a car every day. They might need a van. And then what you're going to see when the car sharing becomes popular, what you're going to see is the manufacturer starting to tailor their automobiles toward specific needs. Wow. And then you're going to find that people, the people in the car, the people ride sharing, the people sharing the ride, are all going to have technology inside the car. They're going to have so much information coming into the car that you won't have to watch TV when you get home. You won't have to, because it'll all come to you as you're driving, and it'll come to you in your front seat, your back seat, everywhere. It'll be a different way of doing business. Service departments, as we see them today, won't exist, because I'll be able to diagnose your car almost right now. I can do it by phone. I can plug into your car by computer right now and diagnose the entire car for you. The technology's out there actually where I could 3D print a part for you in my parts department, or you could do it at home. Print a part for your car. Have someone come to your home and install it and never leave your house. This is what the millennials will want. This is what society wants today. They want a different consumer experience, and it's happening. It's happening faster than you can imagine. For us at this dealership, the business has evolved more in the last 24 months than it ever has in the history of me being in the car business. The way you get loans, the way you service your car, the way you talk to salespeople, the way you communicate with the dealership, it's all changed, and it's going to change even more. And that's just a brief overview of kind of what I see coming down the pike.
Now, I had a question for you, because we always say you can't go back in history, but if you could speak to the Tim Roussell that was in Florida,
yeah,
and you could speak to him, kind of like one of those going back in time things, what would you tell that Tim Roussell that's just got started in the car business?
I'd say, Tim Roussell, you have to prepare for uncertainty. You have to prepare for the business. The players in the automobile business will change. And when I say that, General Motors, Honda, Ford, Chevy, Toyota, all these are big manufacturers, but what you're going to see enter into the arena is Google. And you're going to see some of these tech-rich companies, Facebook. They have Amazon. They have so much cash available.
Yeah.
They could buy and sell Toyota, Honda, and Chevrolet and forget they wrote the check.
Yeah.
I mean, they have a lot of money. They have a lot of technology at their fingertips. And technology is the way of the future for the business. These autonomous cars that drive themselves, it's not the Jetsons. It's here right now. It's here, and it's here to stay. And I just saw a little thing on today. There was an accident with a Tesla, and it was front page news. Yeah, well, there's 400,000 accidents today in regular cars, right? Nobody talked about them.
That's true.
Only one they want to talk about was the Tesla.
Yeah.
Okay, right? There's some hiccups, and along those same lines, breeds a whole new group of people in a trillion-dollar industry, and that's cybersecurity.
Yeah.
You know, that's a lot of different. You know, you're sending your kids today to go to school for certain things that won't even be in existence 5 years from now.
Wow.
You know, technology is where it's at, and I see that happening very rapidly. So I tell people to embrace change. You know, prepare for the uncertainty. Mobility business models. This is the way of the future.
Awesome, awesome. Now you mentioned the Fly to Buy program, and I wanted to, because that's been a baby of yours, as a matter of fact. So someone can actually go on in their car, and I know for a fact this works. They can go on their tablet, search for the car, buy the car, do the financing, and then just take delivery of the vehicle from online.
Yeah, they can sign up online, they can put a deposit online, they can put the money down online. You know, Bitcoin, if any of you haven't heard of Bitcoin, but it will become a player in the marketplace.
Wow.
You know, you'll pay for cars that way.
Wow.
You'll get financing in a different form or fashion, but I believe that, yeah, with the Fly to Buy program, you could do it all from your living room. Wow. I could deliver it to your house and never even leave the house, and it'd be a very seamless. You know, the profit margins in automobiles have shrunk so much over the years. You know, what people want today is an experience. Yeah. And they want a hassle-free experience. Awesome. You know, it's a total different world.
Awesome. If you had one little key or one little suggestion that you could give anybody, what would you do? Because you're an entrepreneur because you're inside of a dealership. You help build one and several dealerships. What is one little gem that you would give someone?
I would only say to you, embrace technology. I would say to you, read every technology book, stay up with technology, and I've done a good job. Rico came to me about
5 years ago,
4.5, 5 years ago, and said I need a job as a salesperson, and I interviewed him for about 5 minutes, and I said to Rico, I don't need you as a salesperson. I need you as a I'm not really sure. I just been reading about you, and I haven't met you yet, and there's a need for you. I just don't know what the need is. He said, does that mean I'm hired? Yeah, it means you're hired. It means you're hired. Well, how much is my pay? I don't know yet. I don't even know what you're going to do yet. I just know you're going to be doing something in the business very soon. And I hired him as my internet director, per se. He became my digital instructor. Today we run, for the millennials, which will spend more money than any group or any gen, right, in the history of the United States. It is less expensive to reach those millennials than it ever has been in the history of the industry for the automobile business. I mean, I can reach 100,000 millennials for less money than I could reach one 55-year-old individual. I'd have to put them on TV, radio, newspaper. I'd have to do direct mail. I'd have to do all the conventional advertising because they don't have a Facebook account. They don't have a MySpace account. Instagram account, a Pinterest account, and there's a whole bunch of new accounts coming out. I'm not quite sure. Like my kids will tell me about them as they come up, and they keep me abreast of the latest and greatest technology. So embrace the technology, okay? Accept the change, and you know, don't accept mediocrity. Try something different, right? If you see things that, you know, Uber, who knew what Uber was?
Exactly.
Who would in their right mind get into a car with a complete stranger that they've never met before, don't know who they are, and jump in a car in today's society? You would say, everybody would say, that's really not going to work because nobody's going to get into a car with a complete stranger.
Exactly.
Yet it's overtaken, and it's an industry that's overtaken America.
Exactly.
Airbnb, right? Airbnb, I didn't even know what it was last year. I asked Rico, what's Airbnb? He said, that's where you like rent your house out to somebody. Like a stranger? Yeah, a stranger. I don't think I'm going to do that. And then I saw that one lady, I was looking on TV the other day and I saw a lady who had a home on the beach, and I saw what her net income was, and I thought I got a couple extra rooms. You know, it's a possibility. You know, and this is what's happening. You stayed at the Airbnbs too. I think the hotel business is in trouble.
That's all I stay at. I only when I go to events or speak, I only hop in an Uber or Lyft, and only go on an Airbnb.
I mean, I think that's the way to go. And to top it off, I'm going to leave you with this. In today's society, there's what we call predictive analytics. Back in the day, you wouldn't know what would reach anybody. You could put a newspaper ad in there. You don't know unless they walked in with a newspaper ad in their hand. Certainly on a radio ad, you wouldn't know. You'd know, you know, if you had specials, or, you know, we used to trick them and put like who's calling numbers in there, 1-800 who's calling numbers, and it was specific to that ad. So if they called in on that 1-800 number, we'd know the ad worked and they came in. Today, and I don't know, most of you probably know this, but today the internet tracks you like a dog. It knows what you do, what you search for, where you go, where you eat, what you buy, what you drive, where you search, how late you search, what time you search, what's the best time to reach you. It's unbelievable what analytics on the internet have for you today if you're a business owner. Yeah. And if you follow those analytics, you know, there's really no sense in advertising at 8 o'clock in the morning to a millennial. It's a waste of money. Kick in about 1:30, right? Because that's when they're up and about, and that's when they're getting going. There's a whole way of advertising. There's a whole way of reaching out to these folks. Digital television today is big. Digital advertising, digital television is really big. And look, at this point in time, radio stations, I know Wolf is back here going, what the heck is he doing? He's killing my business. No, radio stations are not out. Look, you can't do away with them because there's still a large population of people that listen to the radio. Still a large population that listen to TV. But Wolf will eventually be out of a job. Probably not in his time, but eventually this is going to happen. Newspapers are already on the fringe of going out. But they're not out. What they've done is changed from a newspaper delivery to internet-based business. So now you get your, I mean, I spend... you ever go to a restaurant and you look around the restaurant and see how many people are on your cell phone? Like Anna talks to me through, can you get me some extra bread? I'm sitting right here, right? This is what you do. You talk to everybody by cell phone. You watch. The average consumer spends 2.5 hours per day on their cell phone. 2.5 hours a day. This is how you reach the consumer. This is, and it's not. You can get your television over your phone. You can get the radio over your phone. So, look, at this point in time, don't bail out on Wolf and radio or TV or cable or newspaper because you need it all. But you need a good balanced mix to reach everybody, is what I say. Awesome.
Once again, this is going to help a lot of folks out there. This is going worldwide, and we appreciate you, Mr. Big Volume. I appreciate you. And once again, this is the reboot of the Startup Grind. Powered by Google for Entrepreneurs here in Fayetteville, North Carolina. Worldwide community of entrepreneurs, and we just like the opportunity to give all the entrepreneurs, business owners, the opportunity to learn from successful people like Tim Roussell in different niches. So once again, thank everyone for coming, and have a good night.
Thank you.